Adobe Illustrator is one of the most powerful and popular programs for graphic design, and it has a ton of use cases, whether that be creating logos, packaging, and even motion graphics. It's one of the first programs that I really got the hang of and really jump-started my graphic design career. And today, I'm going to show you guys how Illustrator works, whether that be creating, editing shapes, manipulating text, and exporting your designs out. And by the end of this video, I hope you guys get a little bit familiar with Illustrator and get the confidence to work on your own projects. So let's get right to it. So now I'm going to show you guys a hands-on look at Illustrator. So to start, we do have the interface. Now Adobe likes to put you in this essentials mode where you don't have a lot of information. You have your properties, layers, and library, but you really want to be in a different one, such as Essentials Classic, which I really like. And then I modified my what tools I have on my right side. A lot of different options to go through. So let's start with the layers. So pretty easy. Illustrator lets you have layers, and then within those layers you can have different objects. That's not dependent on the canvases. So like this canvas can have a million different kinds of layers on top of it. It really depends on what you want to separate out. Now we do have a couple different options. So I don't know, start at the bottom. Overlord 2 lives down here. Great for singing over assets to After Effects. I did a nice video on that before. So we do have libraries, for example. We do have image trace. We do have some typesetting stuff with like the paragraph and character. And then some more important ones like properties. That's pretty good when you're a little more specific into the different objects that you have on screen. Other cool things like appearance is good if you feel like effects on your different shapes, transform. Again, all helpful information depending on what you're trying to do within your designs. These aren't really that important. Then we have Align and Pathfinder, great for either aligning objects within the canvas itself, like this for example, pretty easy. And then we also have Pathfinder, which is good for like overlaying objects over one top of each other. A lot of different things to take in at first, but you'll tend to know what you want to use whenever it comes up basically. Some other things, transparency, we also have some gradient stuff, strokes, all great information to have, colors, and then we also have swatches. That's what we have on the right side of my tools. And other ones on the left, a lot of these I don't even use for the most part. I mean, I'll use my shapes because a lot of these tools can have a lot of them with each other. You got your text, you got your pen tool and curvature tool, and then we also have different kinds of selecting, and they also have the selection and the direct selection, which is very helpful. A quick explanation. So like selection, you can grab every main object, even if it's like grouped, for example. So if we group this right here, it'll grab the whole thing out. Direct selection, a little bit different. So we have this selected. It's a little more meant for selecting points on an object, as I miss a couple times right there. But yeah, so if we select this point, we can move it around. We can also select multiple points and manipulate as well, whether it be scale or position. A little more specific because this is within the group. So the group, you need direct selection to specifically move things out. So let's ungroup these. And then now we're going to go into color. So a lot of our color properties can be viewed right here. Now we have the square. Now right now it doesn't have a stroke. It's set to nothing. So we can double click on that, and we can also give it any color, whether it be the color itself, that is the red, or let's do green. Make it stand out a little bit more. Now it's at 1 point, which is cannot be seen that well. So we can increase that to like 18, and then it's going to evenly spread across the square. And you can also move it, and then the stroke will move along. Illustrator's been like freaking out on me lately. I don't know why. It's like artifacting pretty bad. So let's undo that. That's a little more strokes. Also, we can do the eyedropper tool. I prefer I as a shortcut when it comes to that. Also, you can also select it on the left side. And this will select basically whatever properties of what we're selecting to. So like this rectangle, for example, it doesn't have a stroke, but its color is green. So if we eyedrop this, it will turn our square with a red fill into a green fill, and then get rid of the stroke like that. Basically, it'll copy over. Like if we did that reverse, this will copy the stroke and then the fill like that. That's how Illustrator decides the findings basically. If you want to change the stroke, we can go on the stroke with that, and then we hit I, and then we hold shift, and then that will take over the stroke property. Very handy. Didn't know that until like maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I would constantly have to manually select my stroke color. But yeah, all the other colors right here, and then we have a star with that has a gradient on it. Now gradients, I feel like in Illustrator work the best. I feel like Photoshop just doesn't do its service. So if we go under gradient right here, so we have our gradient as our fill. And then within this, we have a couple different things we can do. We change the position, because right now the gradient is overlaid right here as a line. And if you can picture it moving up and down, that's how it's going to be formed. So within this, we can add the gradient, and then we can also change the shape of it, whether it be like the radial. We can also do a freeform, which I don't find myself doing too often. Sometimes in After Effects, I'll do that, but not so much here. So let's go back into our linear gradients, and we also change the position and then the opacity, depending on what kind of look we're gonna go for. I often find myself messing with the opacity when it comes to blending gradients on images. And we can double click on this, and then we can also eyedrop tool. We can take this orange, and now the orange is now into the gradient. We can also use a couple different other things to really define our color the way we want it to be. And that basically it for gradients, shapes, and colors. So now I'm going to show you guys text in Illustrator. So I do have a couple different examples right here, and let's start with Preston, the coolest of the bunch. So just like how shapes can have strokes and fills, so can text. So we do have a green fill, and we have a blue stroke outline. Don't find myself too often using the stroke color, but it's often set to nothing, just like this. But maybe there's a few use cases I do use it. But like I said, just like that for color, that's how same thing works for text. Now, text works like this. On the top bar, you automatically have your typefaces, and then you'll have the different fonts you can choose from that. This one's a variable font, so we can really get particular in how we want that to look. We do have a couple different options you can use, whether it be the character or the paragraph. You can mess with the kerning lighting or tracking of this. Sometimes when I get more particular, I'll use these panels. But if I'm using a lot of copy, then I'll often go in design. But yeah, we have different typefaces right here. Cool thing about Illustrator is that if you hit I, like the eyedropper, this will copy the color and whatever properties of the text. So like these are two different typefaces. So if YouTube eyedrops over Adobe, it will copy Adobe's font and everything, particularly to the T, especially the size as well, which is good and bad, but I think it really depends on what you're trying to do. There's a lot of these little, I think, nuanced things with Illustrator that it does specifically, and I've just gotten to use them for the most part. You can do some minor typesetting things, like if we make a placeholder box, let's make this a little bit smaller, and let's do that again. So if we put, I'm a little trouble today. So we got some copy right here, some placeholder. You can manipulate a lot of this when it comes to the paragraphs. So we can like lower it, for example, the spacing between paragraphs. We can indent it, get some minor things. Not as much as InDesign, you can get a little more specific there, but I think Illustrator for the most part can do a couple things from each program. I feel like it's not the jack of all trades. I feel like Photoshop has that, but I feel like for vector-based stuff and for some text, I think it wipes away Photoshop for the most part. Just my preference. And then, yeah, these are some of the similar basic things you can do with type. Not too many. You can also do some other things like typesetting on paths. Like if you have like a circle, let's do this really quick. We can type on the path. Actually, sometimes I'll bring this into After Effects and then bring it in that way. I'm gonna overlay a video I did use this on, and that was my audio video for some of the title cards. I made this in Illustrator and then I brought them into After Effects, and I thought they came out really nice. But yeah, there are some cool type things when it comes to aligning it on different objects or shapes that I think Photoshop can't really do. And this keeps this all vector, and if I want to move this over to After Effects, it would be pretty easily. And I can also outline text, which is kind of cool. Some certain effects you can't do on live text. So if you hit Control-Shift-O, this turns into outline text where it's no longer editable, and then Illustrator sees this as regular shapes, which can be cool, but it's kind of a last thing you do before you send either things to print or if you want to manipulate things, because once you do this, you can't go back. Illustrator won't recognize this as text anymore. You can manipulate some of the points, which again, it depends on what you're trying to do, but this is usually towards the later end of the stage when you want to manipulate text, and you're pretty much set. But again, a lot of different options. I probably went over maybe 5 of like 2,000 of them, but yeah, this is just a basic overview of this. So now we are ready to export our designs out. My preferred way in Illustrator uses export as option right here. And within this, we have a couple different options, whether it be like PDFs, JPEGs, PNGs, SVGs, a lot of different options you can do when you're moving it over, whether it be like on the web or it's a print, or to another program, a lot of different options. So let's use JPEGs. You can use artboards. You can just not use artboards and go a little crazy if you just have a wide open canvas that you just want everything on one image. But I usually use artboards, and then I'll either use all or range depending on what I'm trying to export. So now that we use artboards, we do have, it will separate both of our canvases out separately, and then it labels it like 1 and 2. Different options, whether it be RGB or CMYK. And then we can change the resolution, we can scale it up, and then it'll scale proportionally to 150 and 300. But we're gonna stay at 72. We're at 1920 by 1080. Standard screen size, and then since we're exporting as a JPEG, we have some compression options depending on how big or small we need the file to be. So if we hit OK, and then now we are going to show off these images. 2 exports. JPEGs, they don't have transparency, so they will have the default white background, but if we export it as PNGs, for example, they would be transparent because we didn't auto-define what the background was, so Illustrator just has nothing. But yeah, that's a little basic overview of like basically the shapes, colors, the text of Illustrator, and hope you guys got a good overview of that. And that's basically it. We walked through the basic features of Illustrator, whether that be colors, shapes, text, and exporting your designs out. Like I've said before, Illustrator is one of the first Adobe programs I got my hands on, and it's still my favorite within the Creative Suite. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, because I'm making more videos based around my graphic design software that I use daily. Thanks for watching as always, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. See ya.